Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Selenium Tech Automation. Before going to start our today's video, so I would like to thankful for each and everyone from beginning who and all supporting our channel till today. Okay, your support make our channel to grow more from YouTube point of view, and also many of the students or the people who are working and who are searching for jobs, all of them our channel is helping really a lot. So let's get started our today's video, that is called as what is a properties file. I hope most of the guys already aware about what exactly this properties file will do in real time when we are automating any application, web based application. Okay, let's get started. So in Selenium, a properties file is nothing but to store the, okay, it is mainly used to store configuration related details or data. So when I talked here about configuration details means such as our application URLs, and also such as our applications environments, and also such as our application if there is any database testing, so to store all those database details. And also we can store the application credentials as well, and also we can use this properties file to store the environment details also, and also we can use this properties file for storing the XPaths also. So I will talk about the XPaths later in this video, and also I will show you the how we can store the XPaths into properties file. Okay, so here, so if we use properties file, so what exactly the benefits? So if we use properties files, so our tests can be maintainable easily, and also it is very easy to making our environments as independent each other. And also the main advantage of properties file here is we can avoid the hard coding. So here why hard coding values means, so if we are hard coding any value such as username and password called as credentials and also application URLs, so your code won't looks good, and also it will mess up with lots of lines of code. And also moreover, in real time no other projects or companies will follow or not willing to interest to store their security related application security related details into directly into our scripts. So we have a mechanism to store all this information in a file called as properties file to avoid the security breach issues as well. Okay, so as I mentioned, so how this properties file will looks like. So this properties file will store the information in the form of key and value pair based format. So here what is a key and what is a value. So consider you are launching your application called as amazon.com. So that Amazon website is having its own URL called as https colon forward backward slash www.amazon.com. so this is the actual URL, right? So this actual URL is my value, but my key, what is my key? And also I have my credentials for my Amazon application such as username and password. So for example, consider username as Selenium Tech Automation and password as Selenium Tech Automation for my Amazon application. So here application username is my key and application password is my key, but where are those values such as username as Selenium Tech Automation and password as Selenium Tech Automation? Consider there are 3 or 4 environments where my Amazon application has to be tested. So how you will define those 4 or 5 environments where you want to test your application? And also there are some DB related details and some queries. So how we can store that information into properties file, where we can store and how we can read. And also as I mentioned while discussing about this topic, so how we can store the text path information. For example, there is a element called as login button, but I want to store the text path into my properties file. How we can store, I will show you all those using of one example called as config.properties file. So this is our actual properties file and it will looks like key and value pair format. So here you can see I have defined here my Chrome driver version. So here Chrome.driver is my key and its value is 100.0.5112.102. And as I mentioned, this is my orange HRM URL, this is my value, and what is its key, that is application.url is my key. And in the same way, this is my username, and this is my password. These two are my keys of my username and password, and these two are my values for the username and password, that is admin and admin123. And also if I'm working with multiple browsers, I want to store that information as well into my properties file. Based on the requirements, I can read that particular key and its value. Okay, so here my key information here is browser, and what is its value, that is edge. So like the same, if I have any input text fields, how we can store? So we can store that in the form of key. Based on the key, my value is automation. Based on my last name key, my value is here testing. And also here you can see bottom, so this is my XPath for the field called as username hyphen text field. So this is how we can store our properties file information, and these are the main advantages of storing the details into properties file. First, let's get started our uh, you know the piece of code. So in real time, you don't need to there are some utilities. For example, when I talked about utilities, so it can be helpful for us while we are configuring. These are related to configuration related scripts only. For example, if I am reading any excel file, so we can create a separate class. If I am fetching the data from database and I am doing some validation, we have to create a separate class. In the same way, if I am reading some properties file like file information, we have to create a separate class for that as well. So on doing that process, we have created a separate class. So why we are creating in this way means, it is very easy to understand. If anyone like new join is joining into our team, so when he is executing and when he started scripting, he don't need to get confused where exactly the script is getting failed. Even though if the script is getting failed, it will directly pointing towards the particular class, particular line of code where it is getting failed. So here I have created a constructor here in our class called as update regression properties. So what is the use of creating constructor here means, this particular constructor, it will get initialized when at the time of class loading. Okay, this particular constructor will come into picture at the time of class loading. Okay, and also I have defined here a class called as properties. So using of this properties class only, we are going to use all its methods to read the values to read the value based on the key information available in my properties file. And then here I have used one block called as static block. So what is the advantage of using this particular static block here? So from line number 14 to 23 line number, so here the static block, right? The static block will run when the class is loaded. So it will run when the class is loaded, and also it will initialize any static resources. For example, I am performing here to read a file called as properties file. So it will get initialized at the time of my class get loaded. This static block will run when the class is loaded. At the same time, it will initialize any static resources or performing initialization tasks like reading a file, that is called as properties file. Okay, and here I have surrounded with some try catch block. So what exactly this try catch block will do here? The line number 15 till 16. Okay, the line number till 16, that is file input stream equals to new file input stream of system dot get property of my user directory followed by my file where exactly it got located. Since it is not located in any other folders, directly I have added to my project, directly I am using here user directory. And then I have created an object here, that is config properties equal to new properties, and then I am using here load method to read that particular config.properties file using of dot load method. And this particular statement will ensure us that file input stream will automatically get closed when this particular code got executed, and it will exit from the particular block. Okay, this particular line of code will ensure that once this particular line of code execution got completed, it will come out of the execution from the code if it got successfully read the value. If not, it will go to the catch block and it will throw the respective error. I will show you this as well going forward in this video. So then manually we know that we can read the, like we can analyze that we can read the uh, a specific key from the properties file. But when it comes to the automation, how you can create any method to read the value from the properties file? So for that, I have created here a method called as get property method, and its return type is string. So all the values, sorry, all the keys whatever we defined here, so these are all strings only. So based on my key, I am going to read the value from the properties file, correct? So to do that, here first I have used here system dot get property of key. So key is my parameter of the method called as get property. Okay, so because I want to read the key called as application.url, so where I want to pass this information, right? So to read any particular key, I just need to mention which key you want to read. So for that purpose only, I have added this as a parameter called as string key. Its return type is string. Okay, sorry, its data type, where data type is string, and then this particular method will return as a string output or variable. Okay, whatever the information we have in properties file, we are treating that as a string, correct? That is why we are returning a string here. So and then once if you got the property from the respective key, and I am storing that into one string data type variable called as property, and I am returning that by end of the particular method. So whatever if the particular config properties is containing application dot property application dot url, so it is not going to empty, correct? It is not going to null. So if this is not equal to null, then return me that particular application dot url as my key. Okay, then return me that application dot url as my key, correct? So that is what we are doing here, and then this particular properties dot get property of key. Okay, so each we have created for each key we have created here a different method. For example, I want to read app.username from the properties file. I have created a separate method here. I want to read the value for the app.password key. I have created a separate method here. I want to read my application, so I have created a separate key called as url, and its key I have defined here. So these are the three different keys where we are going to read directly. Based on the keys we are going, sorry, these are the three different keys. Based on these three different keys we are going to read these three different keys and its values based on the keys. Okay, so then how we will call this reusable method into our actual piece of code at page level? Okay, since all these methods are static methods, so I am directly using my class name to read that particular methods, to read all those methods. So for that, here I have created a separate method in my page class that is called as login method, and I have defined the basics like system.set property, and I have used Chrome options. So which method we can use to launch our application? So using of driver.get method, we are going to pass our application URL, right? So this application URL is present in our config.properties file, correct? So that is application.url. So here if you can see, to read that application.url, so we have a separate method here that is called as url. So since it is a static method, I have directly called using of class name method, sorry, class name only. So driver dot get class name dot the method name. This method will give the value of application dot url. Okay, this application dot url is a key, so what is its value? It will return as the value. Okay, so like the same I have created for username and I have created for password. So these three lines will read the value based on the key available in the properties file, and it will print in the console part. So after that we are doing the same, like we are doing send keys. So while doing send keys, it will read from the properties file my username, and it will read the password from the properties file, and then finally it will click on submit button. So once that is done, this particular uh, login method I am going to call my actual test case. How we will call? By creating an object for the particular class. Using of its object reference, I am going to call that particular method here by creating one more method surrounded with at the rate test annotation. And finally this class we are executing using of .xml file, testng.xml file with the test name and my suit name and my classes tag, and then I am going to define my class name using of class name tag. Okay, so first we will execute. Since this particular file is available, first time it will pass, and then if we pass some wrong file path here, so we'll see whether it is going to the catch block or not. If it is going to catch block, it should print properties could not loaded, correct? So first let me execute this. Okay, so let me maximize the console. Okay, no problem. So it is going to launch my browser, and it will read the application URL from the properties file, and then it will enter the admin credentials here under username field, if you can see, and then it will enter password also, and it will click on login, correct? Okay, my our test got passed. So here you can see the details of console. So this is my URL detail, and this is my username details, and this is my password details. Okay, so let me show you the details here in config.properties file. So this is the URL, this is the username, and this is the password. So we'll see if I pass some wrong file path, so whether it will tell you that configuration. Okay, wantedly I am passing some wrong file path, and this time it should go to the catch block. Okay, we'll see, but I am not sure that the next steps, like where we are entering username and password, it will find or not. Okay, so directly it is telling that on test failed login, so it got failed. So why? Because initialize error, since we I think it is not printing that from the console part. Okay, on test fail chrome based version number of that right. Okay, no problem, it is not printing that particular message. I have to check about that, but still it should go to the catch block, since that particular 1 second, wait. So let me modify here some piece of code before that. Okay, so this time I will mention some wrong key. Okay, I passed there 8 triple p dot password. Okay, let me execute. Let me close this. We will see it will print till username, and then it will try to find that key as app dot password. Since we are passing that wrong key information, it is not going to enter. If you can see here, see, still it is searching, and then it got failed here. We will see. So it is telling us that null, since we are passing that wrong information in the properties file. Our key, actual key here is app.password, right? Okay, but we are passing app.password. And as I told, so we can store the XPaths also into our properties file. So for that, this is the example. If you can see, so the same lines, and then we are initializing WebDriver, and then get property of application by dot xpath, if you can see, and then properties dot get property of username dot xpath, send keys of app data username. So we can define our XPaths also here. Username dot xpath equal to how we define here, in the same way we can define in properties file as well. Okay, so here I have defined in properties file the same. So this is my key. So for that particular element, that is xpath, by dot xpath of so what is my key here? Username dot xpath. So consider our xpath here is username text field, right? This is my key, and then it will read this particular value as web element, and then followed by it will enter the username details using of send keys method. Okay, and then password also the same, and then it will click on the login method, sorry, login button. So this is how we can utilize the properties file in real time. Okay, so that's all it for now. If you like this video, please drop a like, and also please share this video to your friends or colleagues, so that they will also aware about the basics of Selenium. And yes, that's all it for now. Thank you so much for watching. Until then, take care everyone. Have a nice day. Thank you so much. Have a nice day. Bye.